Consider yourselves officially enrolled in Rock and Roll Grad School with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling.
Hello, kiddies. We're going to have a good time together. Today, we've got a special rebroadcast of our Y episode with Martha Wash. And she was I think, a very important part of the development of this show.
She was important to both shows because she was, and it was pretty early in the Y, I don't know, chapters of Y. She was the first celebrity / music legend to grant us an interview. And
you mean to return our phone calls?
Yeah. Well, no, I think we had a few that were like, absolutely not. We don't know who you are. But so they did respond. But She, not only did she give us the time, she was fantastic. Her role in music history is incredible, from working with Sylvester to the Weather Girls to the controversial C&C Music Factory. And she shared it all, and it was fantastic.
And I think that's the interesting thing, that she did share it all, because usually, or most times, people don't want to get into the details of either some sort of legal battle or even just I've done my Sylvester, I've done my It's Raining Men story, and she was happy to get into all of that. I think she even found us kind of amusing, which is always nice.
Yeah, she did. And she gave us a shout out to Rachel.
That's true. Who is now on the staff of the grad school.
So that helped reel her in. So she's got a new album out. She's still tearing it up when the seas are sailing again. She'll be doing disco cruises. She's one of the greatest disco divas of our time. She is really good friends with RuPaul. She's just super cool.
Okay. Is it raining men, or is it just what I have to ask?
No, it's not. It's definitely, if that was the case, then everybody would be hurt. It is really storming back here.
To go back to the beginning, when did you start singing?
Oh, Lord, I started singing when I was about 3 years old. Wow. I was singing in the back seat of my godmother's car. We were just driving, and I'm in the back seat just playing and singing, and she told my mother. And my mother, who loved to sing anyway, I think she had wanted to be a singer in her earlier life, but things happened, and she never did, although she did sing in the church choir. She's the one that really encouraged me to sing. And that's really how I started singing gospel music, because that was the only music that was allowed in my house. So we would be in the house on, Saturdays, cleaning the house and have the music on and singing. So that's how it really kind of started.
How did it evolve into being your lifelong career?
Well, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I had thought about it one time, being a elementary school teacher, like a kindergarten teacher. And as the year kind of moved on, I was, coming out of teenagers and going into young adulthood, and I thought to myself, no, probably not. Teachers, I have to say, they deserve combat pay for the most part.
Yes, they do.
And yeah, they really do. They don't get paid enough. I respect teachers. You have some bad apples, and there's some, at times, but for the most part, teachers love to do what they do, and they want to see young minds expand and grow and things like that. And I said, no, that's probably not for me. But in the meantime, I was still continuing, to sing. And when I started singing with Sylvester professionally, I just kind of focused on just doing that to see where that was going to go. And all these years later, I'm still doing it.
Amazing. I know you said that you listen primarily to gospel music in the house, but you've always loved all different genres of music. How was that transition? Was there any sort of going back to your parents going, well, I'm pursuing music, but I'm going into some different kinds?
Yeah, they were not happy.
Yeah.
They were not happy. Really, especially my mother. I think my father, he didn't trip too much. My mother was the one. She wanted me to continue to sing gospel music. And I told her, I said, look, I have gospel music as my foundation. I'm just going into a different genre of music. But I would always, still continue to sing gospel music wherever I could. And she eventually got over it, and they became fans of me singing with Sylvester and would come to some of the shows when they could, so they understood.
That seems like a hard right turn.
Well, they got over it.
Well, how could you not? I mean, all the incredible things you've done and the incredible music you've created, it would be very hard to say God's not there in that, whatever you're doing, Yeah.
It's been an interesting career. A lot of music I have forgotten that I have recorded actually until I hear it somewhere and oh my God, I did record that. Okay. That kind of thing. It's been kind of amazing when I look back on a lot of the music and stuff that I did, singing with Izora Armstead and singing with Sylvester, and then doing studio like that, and then doing the solo stuff. Yeah, it's been quite a bit.
You're still recording today.
Yes. I'm still working on but the next album. Hopefully, will be out before the year is up. I've been working in the studio and almost finished. Just a few things I need to clean up, and then start mixing and mastering.
Is there a style to it? Because when you listen to the records you've done in the past, from Sylvester and the Weather Girls to even Something Good, which came out a couple years ago, it's such a wide array of styles. It's almost become sort of it's a bit of a cliche, but like sort of you taking a song and trying to make it your own thing.
Well, yeah. I've always said this in interviews that I never wanted to be pigeonholed into one specific genre of music. I like all different kinds of music, and even though I had the gospel music as a foundation of the music that I listened to growing up, on TV I would watch movies that had big band music, and I liked the big band sound. Glenn Miller, Tommy Dorsey, Duke Ellington. I liked that type of music as well. Then when I became a teenager, I was listening to Motown music under my pillow with a transistor radio, that kind of stuff, So I've always liked different kinds of music. And even though when I started with Sylvester, we were doing top 40 songs at the time that progressed into disco music and then past that. So I've always wanted to be able to sing any kind of music that I wanted to. And with the Something Good album that came out, that was more pop rock.
Mm-hmm.
This album, which I decided to call Love and Conflict, is more a little blues. Well, I call it the gumbo. A little blues, a little R&B, a little 60s kind of psychedelic music feel to it, and just me, laying my vocals on top of it. So that's why I call it a gumbo of sorts.
Yeah. So to go back to one of your biggest hits, what did you first think when you heard It's Raining Men? Because it had a pretty checkered past to that point. Cher had turned it down. Barbra Streisand had turned it down. Donna Summer. Did you feel like you were kind of, I don't know, what were your thoughts when you first heard it, knowing it had this history of people not responding to it?
Well, well, Paul Jabara, bless his heart, he said he invited us over to his house for lunch under the guise of just having lunch. But he played us the song, and he said, I want you to record this song. And I looked at Azora, and she looked at me, and I said, you got to be kidding. He said, no, I really want you to record this song. And I said, Paul, I'm not sure anybody's going to buy this song. You know, people are going to buy it. He said, no, I really, really need you to record this song. And then he went on to tell us, again, who had turned down the song. And when you think about it in hindsight, can you really, really imagine that?
And definitely not how you sing it.
Try and get a visual of that, you know, all by itself. So he said, no. He said, he literally begged us to record. He said, this song is going to be a hit. He said it. And I think it was maybe 2 days later, we went in the studio and recorded the song in roughly 90 minutes and walked out of the studio and said, okay, Paul, we'll see you later. You know, we had left. We had other shows to do. You know, we were back on the road, that whole thing. And it became a huge hit in the clubs long before radio even picked up on the song. And it became funny because a lot of people that heard the song said that there was a new group out called the Weather Girls. And other people who knew us as Two Tons of Fun said, no, that's Martha and Izora. That is Two Tons of Fun. So that became, I want to say, kind of a selling point, but a controversial thing in the meantime, trying to figure out who was actually singing this song, you know. Mm-hmm. And it kind of, you know, it kind of progressed from there, where we decided to change our names from Two Tons of Fun to the Weather Girls, changed record labels, and moved from the West Coast to the East Coast. Wow. And started a whole new chapter as the Weather Girls.
What did that feel like? I mean, that song it's beyond iconic. I mean, it's legendary. How did that feel when it just took on a life of its own, and all of a sudden, as you said, you're changing your name, moving across country, switching record labels? I mean, it had to just avalanche.
Well, yeah, I think we were really, really surprised by it. Paul, not so much, because he said it was going to be a hit.
Right,
you know?
Right.
And he would take the 12-inch acetate around to different clubs and ask the DJs to play the song. And that's how a lot of people really started picking up on the song itself. Sure. It was just great. You know, it was surprising, but it was just, wow, you know, this is really, really big. And we said, hey, okay, if this is what it takes to, you know, kind of move our careers forward, then hey, let's go for it. You know, and that's what we did.
And then on top of being a singing success and having this great career, you've also changed the business after being screwed over twice by two different music producers. Do you remember the first time you heard Gonna Make You Sweat?
I was surprised. I think I was more surprised at the video. I think I was more surprised at the video, really, as opposed to the song itself. I mean, the video is really, really what started the whole madness, you know, during that time. It's just been, oh God, it's been, good grief, almost 30 years. Yeah. If anybody can believe that. But yeah, I had always felt in later years that possibly the group, C&C Music Factory, were kind of put in a bag where they were caught with their pants down, in that when they released Gonna Make You Sweat, it took off so quickly.
Sure.
I don't think they had the rest of the album finished. So this is all in my mind, and I could be wrong. But I thought, naturally, you're going to ride the wave of the first single off of the album.
Sure.
And it became such a huge hit. So they were scrambling around trying to get everything else, the rest of the album, finished. And Gonna Make You Sweat took on a life of its own as well. So they had to get a video put out there as quickly as possible. And in my mind, they used Zelma, which she was part of the group, and they said, well, look, we've got to get all this stuff done. We've got to get it out. We've got to keep that momentum going for that single. And so they decided to use Zelma to do the lip sync vocals for the song.
Yeah, but you eventually ended up, as time went by, you sort of made peace with both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. We went on, after that whole thing, after the dust settled with everything, I went on to record another song on their follow-up album.
Right. Well, I have to tell you, when I was the prime demographic for Gonna Make You Sweat, and my friends and I loved that song. I mean, it was on constant rotation. We had single, we had CD, we had everything. And then as soon as we found out it was you, we completely boycotted C&C Music Factory because we were massive Weather Girls fans from when we were little. We loved it. And so then when we found out that you came back and recorded with them again, then we were okay with them again. But we, as teenage girls in Detroit, Michigan, took a very big stand. And today I was texting my best friend from high school and telling her how excited I was we were going to get to speak to you. And she said, you better tell her how much we support her and we hate how she got screwed over and we're a huge fan. So that is my message to you from Rachel.
well, please let Rachel know. Thank you very much for her support all of these years.
I will, for sure. She's a listener, so she will hear it from your mouth. So
that's what made
Hi, Rachel.
That will make her day for sure.
Sure, that's what made the difference.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how life works out. You don't know what's going to be happening in the next day or so of your life, and things can kind of turn on a dime with your life, and you have to go through experiences and stuff. It was hard for me at that time dealing with all of that because of the press, and I'm kind of I've always just been the girl in the studio or the girl on on the album doing the work, that kind of stuff, and kind of, in a way, keeping my head down and just doing what I do. So when this whole thing erupted, it was really strange, but I kind of had to steel my nerves, and kind of go through it and learn. So it's those experiences in life that kind of make you who you are as you progress in this life, and as being a human being and going through things. You have to have the downs as well as the ups. So hey, I made it through. I'm stronger for it. I'm a little bit older, a little bit wiser. Thank God for the wisdom that I have, the little bit of wisdom that I have.
Definitely, because I saw Rolling Stone called you the most famous unknown singer of the '90s, which
at least they're calling
got to be damning with faint praise.
Look,
I mean, at least they're calling you something,
kind of follows
I guess.
Me to this day, in a way, I remember, was it in the '90s? I don't know if you remember. It was on MTV, One Hit Wonders. You remember that show? And we were on there. I was on there for It's Raining Men.
I remember
and
that.
And I'm saying to myself, well, yeah, that's true, but honey, I have done a whole lot of more things since then.
Yeah, that is bad research on their part. That's really bad research.
Yeah.
Well, what can you say?
Yeah. I mean, your career beyond, the music itself and your incredible voice, you've also become so iconic in so many other ways as well. I mean, obviously with what you did with the Weather Girls and 2 Tons of Fun really was way ahead of its time as far as body positivity and being sexy at any size and all of those things, as well as your role in the LGBTQ community as well. You've done all sorts of things beyond just being a performer.
It's funny because when 2 Tons of Fun first came out, we were considered a novelty act. It was like, okay, well, they can sing, but now how are we going to market them? In the business, that kind of thing. So while we had the fans, we did do TV shows, not so much over in the States per se, but I would say more so in Europe, doing TV shows over there. But at that time, it was like you did not see large women in front of you on TV, not really doing disco music at the time. You really didn't see that. Right. So we were, I guess you could say, we were kind of like trailblazers because even though we were considered novelty acts, we could still sing. We could still get an audience and had fans and everything. And as the years went on, I had to kind of stop and think about it myself because at that time, again, you didn't see large women that were out in the front or even really doing background that much.
Yep, of course.
Visually. Visually. I don't know if you remember the Mamas and the Papas. Mama Cass. Mama Cass was like, the largest woman that you saw that was out there in the front in a group doing their thing, So when we came along, it was like, okay, they're good vocally, but again, how do we market them? How do we get the audience to buy what they're selling visually? All these decades later, now you see the big girls out there. I was watching Lizzo the other night at the MTV Movie Awards and stuff. And she was she was doing her thing. She was just really doing her thing. And the audience just loves her. And I think it's great. We have to be represented as well as everybody else,
One of the questions that we always wrap up these interviews with is, well, what are you up to now? And you are insanely busy. So I feel like it might be easier to ask what you're not up to. You have a magazine. You have a TV show, 10 Minutes with Martha Wash. Did 15 minutes feel indulgent?
Sometimes it leads into 20 minutes and 30 minutes, depending on who I'm interviewing. I've had extended editions on some of the people, but I thought I would be kind of slowing down a little bit, but I'm more busier than ever. The 10 Minutes with Martha Wash is something that my manager thought you have to keep reinventing yourself in this business and going different avenues and keeping yourself out there and so people know what's going on with you. And so that's been fun. We've got, it's an internet show as well as a cable show, and you can find it on YouTube. And also on the cable side, we've been shown in New York and in the D.C. areas on Comcast and Fios and RCN TV networks and things like that. So that's been fun. The magazine, FLOD Spotlight magazine, that's been fun as well, interviewing people who sometimes don't get the publicity, or sometimes it's people that you say, well, is this person? What are they doing? You know, you don't hear from them much.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of interview those types of people to let them know that, yeah, you may not hear from them, but here they are. This is what they're doing. So that's been fun.
Nice. Very cool.
You know, plus the record label. Oh my God, Purple Rose Records. And dealing with First Ladies of Disco, the group.
That's what I was going to ask about next. Yes.
Yeah, which is myself and Luke Clifford and Norma Jean Wright, formerly of Chic.
Yep.
We just released our second single, "Don't Stop Me Now." It's in the top 15 on Billboard charts, and we had success with the previous single, "Show Some Love," that hit the charts and it was in the top 10.
Amazing.
So, plus trying to finish up this album, so Purple Rose Records is busy as well. And I am.
So do you ever get down? Do you ever feel like, hey, everybody just stop dancing now?
Well, no.
You seem to be positive and upbeat and...
you know, you get, I don't want to say you get down, but there are slow periods in this career that people need to realize. Everything is not 100 all the time. And being in this business, it's not necessarily just in the music business, but in acting and theater and all this other kind of stuff. You're going to have those downtimes where the work is not coming in. And I think that's why more so people are going into other avenues of trying to maintain themselves and still, you know, be able to pay the bills and that kind of stuff too, because what you're focused on doesn't always happen for you all the time. So in the meantime, you got to figure out something else to do and have other, say, streams of revenue coming in until you can, you know, do what you want to do.
Right.
It's true about faking it till you make it. You know, a lot of it is fakery and trick and smoke and mirrors. I mean, you know, that's what this business is. It's smoke and mirrors. You know, you're paid to make it look fabulous and fantastic, and ooh, I want to be in this business. Well, you better make sure you really do want to be in this business because it's more, you know, it's more than a notion. And more than what you just see in front of you as you're cheering your favorite artist on stage. You know, it takes a lot. And if you can stand it, you'll be okay. Just know that it's not always going to be the greatest. But if you can hang in there and you believe in what you do and realize that everybody's not going to like what you do, and everybody's not going to be a fan of what you do, then you'll be able to maintain nonetheless. I always tell people that. Don't look for the high end. Look for the low end first and realize and deal with the low end first and be able to accept the low end first until you start really, really growing. And appreciate that low end. So when the big stuff starts coming in, you can really, really appreciate it.